Hello, this is Coach Aaron Saft and the Running is Life podcast. And today's episode is when type A just becomes overdone. I am at that point, and that's where this is stemming from. And so I'll get deeper into what kind of turned me on to the point where I needed to make a change. But with that, you may find yourself in a similar situation. We typically overdo everything as a type A personality. We typically see it as an all or nothing. We're all in or we're not doing it enough to do ourselves justice, and we can't justify just doing less. It's hard for us to accept the fact. And it feels like failure if we can't get it done. Oftentimes when people streak, they think that they have to do it every day, or else they're not properly streaking, and that's unhealthy sometimes, depending on what you're doing. I know, like, there's the run, streak, mile, and that's fine. But I'm talking about all of these 28-day challenges and such. They may not be the best thing for us. And I'm going to talk about a few other things that I've kind of come across that might not be the healthiest thing, especially for what their intended purpose is. And like I said, I'll get into that. As a type A, we also feel if X is good, then 2X is even better, right? If you run for an hour, then an hour and a half is better. And it's not always the case. So, we have to be careful there. And that's typical of me as well. I'd like to pile on the volume. And that's not always a good thing. You have to listen to your body sometimes. And that's, again, where part of this stems from. And I oftentimes, going back to the streak idea, is I'm like, well, I should be doing some planks and then plank routine. And then my mind turns to, well, that's something I probably should do every day. And that's not the case, but that's where my mind goes. And it's just, it's not the greatest thing. I got to understand that my body can't do that every day. It needs rest. It needs recovery. That's how it gets stronger. I don't need to do planks every day. And but I feel like if I don't do planks every day, then I won't get in the routine. So it's a battle. I'm going to be open and honest in this podcast. It is a battle for me. And the last thing I'll say is type A's obsess over metrics, and that's me. And this all really came about with me obsessing over vertical gain. Okay, with Hellbender coming up, I started really obsessing about how much vertical gain was I getting in each run. Was I getting enough? Was I doing enough? And it's a legitimate question, but again, like, when you start to obsess about it, it starts to take away from the joy of running. And this episode is really about keeping the joy in your running. Don't overdo things so that you remain happy and get to enjoy your runs, because as I said a while back, in the winter, I was running on the treadmill all the time. And then I kind of, like, one day was like, what am I doing? Like, this isn't my enjoyment of running. I like going outside and running. Like, I was just kind of going through the motions. And this is a little bit different. I was really obsessing about the metric, about, again, how much vertical gain was I getting? And I'll tell you, things that don't help, things that do not help one is Strava. Strava does not help. And in that same vein, social media. I could put those two side by side. We oftentimes, and I was just talking with an athlete. He's doing Cocodona, and he's on the Cocodona Facebook group, and he's like, all these people are doing 100-mile weeks, and they're doing 100Ks on back-to-back weekends. And first thing I said was, well, that's not you. That's not what's best for you. And it may not be best for them. They may be leaving their race in training. They may be having, all of their good moments, all of their good days in training, and then race day comes and they're left wondering, well, why did it turn out so badly? It's because they overdid it in training. I see, people posting on social media all the time, all these weeks with high mileage, and then all of a sudden race day comes and they're like, I had an awful race, or I DNF'd. It's because they left their race day in their training, during their high volume weeks. They just did too much in training. And that's what they get hung up, and that's what I'm saying. I was getting hung up on, is the metrics. Your body doesn't understand miles. I don't know how many times I can say that. It doesn't care if you got a 100-mile week. It cares how much time it took you to do that. That's what it understands. So in doing too much, by volume, if you're doing too much hours time on feet, you're going to exhaust yourself and also diminish your possibility of having a good race. So be careful with what you're doing. Don't chase numbers. Don't chase those metrics, right? They say if you're doing a race, then you should shoot to try to get the total vert of the race in a week. Now, that's tough for anybody. That is extremely tough. I mean, if we're talking Hellbender here, Hellbender is what, 22 to 23,000 feet? That's a tough week to try to get that in a week. That takes a lot out of you. Imagine trying to do that week after week, and what state it would leave you in, right? So that's why I say, I was getting obsessed with vertical gain. I had a great race at Heartbreaker. I was a half hour faster than what I wanted to do, and I felt fine on the climbs. And here I am still worrying about, am I doing enough vert? I just did a huge climbing race, and I was totally fine. But, for some reason, my brain doesn't make that connection. And I hope you do. I hope you can make that connection. I hope you don't have the problems that I do and face the same type of obsessions. Because it's silly. It's silly to worry about these things and hang ourselves up on, reaching a certain mileage goal for the week. That doesn't do anything for us. It's really just making sure you put in the time and do it consistently. That's the biggest thing. You don't have to do high mileage runs. You don't have to do it all the time. Listen to your body. If it's tired, back off, right? Don't push through it just to try to attain some number. You're going to put yourself behind, right? And again, you're going to put yourself behind and probably diminish what you could have done on race day. So don't do it. Don't do it. Especially don't do it just to put it up on Strava. That's the biggest thing. When I say Strava doesn't help me, I look at the metrics, right? So I can put Training Peaks on the same level again. Is I'm looking at the metrics. A long time ago, I gave up on really caring about, what people think about my paces and my times. I had to give up on that because I had to worry about myself. So there are people that do worry about that. And to you, if you are that type of person, you have to get over that. It's the toughest thing to do. I was there, and I had to get over it because I had to do what's best for me. I had to do what's best for Aaron. So, Strava, social media, all of this posting about, I did this, I did that. If that really does something for you, okay, but does it really do something for you? That's the question you should ask. Does it really do something for you? It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't bolster me. It makes me obsessed with, just checking and getting that melatonin, that dopamine hit from seeing how many likes it has. I hate that about, the Strava and social media. It makes me go back and look just so I can get that dopamine hit. And I don't need that. I don't want that. So, I'm going to talk about in a minute what I'm working on and what I'm trying to get away from. So where does all that stem from? It stems from my watch. On the run the other day, I was looking at the grade. I had the grade up on my watch. And I'm like, should I be running? Should I be walking? These are things that are actually going through my head as I'm going through and looking at what percentage incline I'm at. I'm like, well, this grade is, it's low enough that I could run this. And so, I'd run rather than just listen to my body, right? That's the big thing, listening to my body. And then I was obsessing of, well, how many vertical feet am I going to get in this run? Is it going to be enough? Do I have to do something else? Should I change my route? And that's all because I was worried about the numbers, worried about the metrics, right? So, the watch can be very detrimental at times. I'm going to talk about more of that later. And then comparing myself to my younger self. That's a big one. And that's huge, right? Again, being open and honest here. Comparing, Aaron right now, 46-year-old Aaron, to Aaron that was 30 years old and what he was doing at 30. I'm not that same person. And that's what I have to realize is that, I'm not the same. I can't do the same things that I was doing at 30. That will not make me better. It'll probably get me injured. It'll probably make me too tired. So I have to remember those things and remember where I'm at now. And again, another thing that I'll talk about because it's something that I'm working on, and I'll tell you how I'm working on these things. The other thing that doesn't help is the scale, actually weighing myself. That is something that, as a collegiate athlete, we were weighed on a weekly basis. it became an ingrained habit to get on the scale and check my weight each week. And that is something that it took me a long time to get away from. Every once in a while I'll pop on the scale, but that really, it starts creating unhealthy habits for me. I start worrying about, well, how much am I weighing? How much should I be weighing? And again, start comparing myself to my younger self. It's not where I'm at now. And so, a lot more to come on that as well. So the scale. And then other things that bother me, that if I'm talking about things that do not help, it's these clickbait articles. I'll get like some email and it says, if you want to burn fat, this is the top 10 foods you should be eating. If you want to have rock solid abs, these are the 8 best exercises, right? Like these type of ads, obviously they're baiting you so they can get you to read it. I have to simplify, and that's where this is all going. Is how can I simplify and make this better so that I'm not overwhelmed by, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? What should I be doing for my diet? So again, those fish bait articles, those clickbait articles are just, they're the worst. Oh God. So what made me realize that something needed to change, I was having a conversation with one of my best friends, and he and I are approximately the same age. He's almost a year older than me, not quite. But we have the same PRs. We ran the same things in college and post-collegiately. I think he ran 2:26 in the marathon. I ran 2:27. I think I ran 1:08, and maybe he ran, I can't remember if he ran a little faster or a little slower. Anyhow, like I said, we were right around each other when it comes to our PRs. And we trained together for a long time. And I've been training him as an athlete. And, we had a phone call. And he said, Aaron, I just don't care anymore. I have nothing to prove. And that's okay. I get it. And he's like, I have fun running. I have fun training for 5Ks. And I think that's all I want to do. Because he was signed up for a half marathon that was supposed to take place this past weekend. And he just said, I'm just not interested in doing it. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Why go do something if you're totally not into it? I get that. So, he said, I don't have anything left to prove. And when we say we don't have anything left to prove, it's not proved to anyone else. It's proved to ourselves, right? Like, so when we talk about this, we're saying, I'd like to do this. I'd like to prove to myself that I can do this. And those goals, they've kind of gone past, right? As we've kind of hit our prime and come off our prime, of course, there's still things we want to do, but there's nothing that we need to prove to say, yes, I am this type of athlete. It's more so that, now we just need to enjoy it, right? Like, we're still able to move, we're still able to run, and we have to appreciate that. And that's kind of where both of us are at, because, our goal of running in general has changed. Right? Like we're not really looking at the competitive piece of this. Sure, we want to be competitive with ourselves. We want to do the best we can, but I realize that running is just, it's something I love. And if something is diminishing that, then I need to take a look at that and figure out how to fix it. And that's where this all came from. Is I was like, I'm really getting bogged down by my training. I'm getting sidetracked. I'm not looking forward to going out and a run and just hitting this trail and trying to, getting as much gain as I can. It just became overwhelming and burdensome. And I was like, I just don't want to go do that. So, I said, well, how do I change that? What do I want to do? And so when I looked at it, I said, okay, life has a lot of priorities right now. My time is spent a lot of time coaching, right? Coaching athletes, coaching my high school athletes, and that's huge. I still have my family, and they're a huge priority to me. I have their activities and such, and then I have my running, right? And so when I was younger, obviously, in college, running was the priority. It was definitely high up there. It was probably, one of the top tier things, right? And then we developed a family. So the family became the priority. Then the professional life, right? So it was family, professional life, and running. And so running just kept getting kind of pushed down the totem pole, right? Like I don't have as much time to train as I used to. I can't train like I used to. Just like I was saying earlier, I am not the 30-year-old Aaron. I'm not the 45-year-old Aaron. There's a lot that has changed in my body and my ability to train like I used to. So realizing all that, here's what I'm working on. Having said all of that, yesterday I went on a run and I just decided not to wear a watch. I was like, I'm just going to go out. This is the route that I want to do. Okay. The key word there is want. Okay. I knew in my mind the route and I said, this is what I want to do because I enjoy running there. Yeah, I'll still get some up and down, but that's not the focus. The focus is on the route. Then because I will enjoy that route. I will enjoy being out there because I enjoy the environment that's around me. It makes me feel happy. So with that, I left my watch at home. I left my phone at home. I had no idea what time it was, how long I was out there. I just went and enjoyed the run. Now, some people can't do that. That's really hard for some people because they want to make sure they understand how far they went, what pace they're going, etc. Right? And again, that's where I was getting hung up on the metrics, right? Because as you've heard me in the past, I want to look at my heart rate. I want to look at all the metrics that are going on, right? And so that's difficult. I mean, I went cold turkey, no watch. I flipped my wrist over a bunch of times just to see hair and freckles. There's no watch there. And it's an ingrained habit. And I realized how much I usually check my watch by how much I kept turning over my wrist. And I was like, my God, I am obsessed with this device. It made me realize how obsessed I was with that device. So with that, I was like, yes, the watch is becoming a detriment to me. I'm becoming too obsessed with it and checking it and knowing exactly where I'm at, how far I've gone, how much gain I've got, what % incline I'm at. I mean, it just gives you so much data. And it takes, so much energy to process all this in your brain. I'm just wasting energy. So with that said, I went and I said, okay, today, yesterday's run was Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. I said, I'm going to go out and do this other run. Again, no watch. I didn't have my phone because I was planning on just running up to the top of this gap. It's a road to dirt road to the top of the gap and back. That was my plan, right? I got to the top of the gap and all of a sudden I noticed a trail that I'd never seen before. And this is where stupidity comes in. Like, we do stupid things sometimes. I do stupid things. I will, say it straightforward. I am stupid sometimes. And this was one of those moments where I was stupid. I was really dumb. I put myself in a situation which was dangerous. And I say this because I think people can learn from it. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have the right footwear. I didn't have the right pack. I didn't have enough hydration. I didn't have any calories. But I decided to take this trail because I thought it would put me out somewhere where I always wanted to connect to. I thought I could make a loop out of it. Unfortunately, it was not the case. When I realized it was not the case, I realized how far I had gotten away from the road. And here I am in a pair of Topo Atmos, their most thickest cushioned road shoe with absolutely no traction. And here I am on what seems like an animal trail. Okay. So an animal trail, this is like a barely used path, and it's, weaving through trees, under branches. And, I'm basically hiking up this ridge line because it's going up. And I came to a point where, I got to this kind of this summit, if you will, and I looked around and I was like, oh my God, I totally missed where I wanted to be. That is, a good, mile back. And so, I'll be honest, I panicked a little bit. I was like, all right, well, what am I going to do? Right. I had to think about the situation, think about where I was at, think about where I could be if I saw another ridge line that was perpendicular to the ridge that I was on. And I was like, okay, that will take me down into the Big Creek watershed. I knew approximately where I was at. So I said, all right, that's what we'll do. I'm going to go down that way because going back, potentially could take a lot longer than I really want. So down the ridge line I went, and I found a user trail. Somebody's building a new trail. I can't tell you how to get there. I have no idea where I was. I know it's off of Big Creek Trail because that's where I ended up after a ton of bushwhacking. going through Mountain Laurel and River Cane, and my legs were just admonished by all of the brush. I mean, I had, blood trickling out my knee. My shin was bruised and swollen because I had just been hitting all these branches. Not a fun time. And I'm in these topo atmos. I have no traction on a downhill, so I'm sliding. It was everything I could do to kind of keep my calm. I finally got down to the bottom, and there was a creek, but I could see no trail. And actually despair hit me because I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I'd hit a trail by now. And that realization hit me kind of hard. Again, me just being honest. And not having a phone in that situation, it really kind of it sent me again into that panic mode. I was getting a little upset. I'll be honest. I was like, this was dumb. This was really stupid. It was panic. It was frustration. I was mad at myself for doing such a stupid thing. And, I came to the realization this state is not going to get me where I need to be. It is not going to get me out of here. I need to relax and focus. If I keep following the creek, I am bound to find the path, because usually with that, the Pisgah Forest, if you follow a creek, you'll usually hit a trail at some point. And thank God it took me a little bit more bushwhacking, but I saw a campsite. I saw a fire ring and a log set up next to it. I said, there's got to be a trail nearby somewhere. Somebody wouldn't set this up if there wasn't a trail nearby. So, I made my attempt to get up the slope again. I had done some really steep slopes trying to, find a trail. And this one, thankfully, was short, and it popped me out onto the Big Creek Trail, much to my relief. I was so relieved to get on that trail. And, I ran to the reservoir. Those of you who don't know, the old Hendersonville Reservoir is at the end of the Big Creek Trail, which put me in a place that I am very familiar with. And my anxieties diminished. My frustration did not, because I was really upset with myself. I had done something I knew was not what I should have done. I was not anywhere equipped to do what I was doing. So I should have turned my hand over and smacked it. I should have been reprimanded. That was dumb. Just downright stupid. So got out of there and realized the fastest way back would be to take all the river crossings back to North Mills River Road. There's two options. I could go up to the Trace Ridge Trailhead and run the road back, which would take me approximately roughly to get home, probably about 6.5 miles from where I was at, versus about 5 miles if I took the river trail. So I took the river trail, got out of there. Unfortunately, it came off the Big Creek Trail and turned my ankle. And I think that's where the peak of frustration hit me. I turned my bad ankle just as soon as I got out, because I took my mind off it for a second because I was happy to be where I was at. And that's when I turned my ankle, of course. So level of frustration high. So I took a moment, vented a little bit, made sure there was nobody around because I was frustrated, and just took a moment to collect myself. Got my ankle to the point where it was okay, and I could run on it again. And then I started running and made my way back. Got back to North Mills River Road and just head for home. I was in my mind, I was just, I was over it. I was so over it. What should have been an hour and a half to potentially maybe 2 hours at most was turned into a 3.5 hour run. And, my stupidity, it could have cost me a lot more. And, not being prepared, I was just, I need to do better. I need to be better. And I need to kind of come to the realization that, having a phone on me is something I need. I don't have to use it to track my run. I don't need to look at it to see what time it is. I just need it there. That's the reality. Like, it was dumb not to have that on me, even just for the run I had planned. So, it's one thing that I'm moving forward. it's going to be with me, because I was because I just wanted to make sure that if something happened, I had the ability to, get myself in a position to call somebody if need be. And I didn't have that potential. So anyhow, with all that said, I'm still going to go watchless. I don't want to track my runs. I don't want to see the metrics for a while. So if you don't see me on Strava, that's why. I'm really just trying to enjoy my running. And I enjoyed the day. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Wherever I was, it was amazing. I soaked it in multiple times. Just, amazing place, amazing trails, amazing beauty. Was it worth it? No, I mean, no. It was not worth it. It was not worth the risk that I put myself in. It's what happened, and I faced the music. I'm glad I got out of there. I'm glad I'm relatively unscathed. The ankle's okay. But I need to be better. I need to do better. So other things that I'm working on. I'm not going to follow any strict diet. I've gone through the hoops with diets, and I'm just coming to the fact that I just need to eat cleaner. That's the reality. I need to simplify my options and just eat cleaner. When I look at, breakfast, I'm trying to keep it simple. I'll have eggs maybe once or twice a week, and then oatmeal, the various types of oatmeal with fruit the other days. So fruit and nuts with oatmeal. That's the big thing. Getting back to drink some smoothies with oat milk, trying to be good, doing some brown rice, kale, and black beans at lunch, some chicken and salad and avocado salads. So, just some generally healthy eating, some clean eating, and then whatever we're doing for dinner. I'm just trying to do better. I'm trying to snack less. So eating cleaner, keeping it simple. That's the big thing. Also started re-implementing breathing and meditation. I want to put that back in. Now, here's the other thing that I spoke about earlier that I have to be good about, because the app I use is Headspace. And unfortunately, Headspace has a streak calendar. I don't know if I can disable that, but that again triggers my type A personality. All right, I'm like, oh God, did I meditate today? Do I need, So again, I have to be real careful with that. I've acknowledged that. I realize that. But the benefits that I get from meditation, from the breathing, it's something good for me. I realize I do much better when I meditate and when I practice my breathing. So I'm going to keep working on that and not be obsessed with the streak calendar. Again, I'm going to see if I can turn that off. And then scheduling time for ancillary work and prioritizing my ankle. After spraining again today, I realized I really need to work on that ankle. I need to prioritize, getting those times in. It's difficult, but I need to find time where I can do it. I need to schedule that time and make sure that I get it done, because I need to take care of it. It's obvious. I need to take care of these things. So I'm going to schedule the time so I get in my ancillary work, because that's the first thing usually to go is my ancillary work. And it's what I need to make me a more complete runner. So I'm going to work on that. Learning to accept the present me, not who I was, not who I want to be, but who I am today. I have to learn to accept me right now. Be okay with what I am right now, what state I'm in right now. I certainly can say, this is where I want to get, and that's actually a part of the next one, is working towards achievable goals and creating benchmark goals to help me along the way. So, with who I am right now, I can say, all right, my goals are, I want to finish Hellbender, right? Benchmark goals would have been, running 12 hours at Heartbreaker. I ran 11 and a half. So goal achieved, right? So, and then it's just training, being, holding myself accountable to my training, getting my training in, and listening to my body, not trying to force any time on feet. I don't want to force time on feet, because I get obsessed with well, how long should my medium long run? How long should my long run be? Should I try to squeeze in another 50K? Like all of these things, right? Those are things that go through my head. Again, like I know that I don't need to, not at this point, but those are things that go through my head. And that's, things that I have to battle personally. Me being a coach, it's easy for me to put it on paper for somebody else. But if I put it on paper for myself, it's hard to hold myself accountable. That's the reality. It really is. If I'm being honest, it is hard to hold myself accountable because I'll always want to do more because that's what I'm used to. And that's not good. That is not good. It's time to listen to my body. And that's what I'm working on. Listening to my body and like acknowledging when it's tired, when it needs rest, when I can bump up volume, when I have to diminish volume. That's what I have to work on. So what have I done there? I've included my wife in these goals to hold me accountable, right? Because if I come home and, like today, I told her, it ended up being 3.5 hours. That wasn't the plan. Definitely was not the plan. But she's like, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? And I said, well, tomorrow, I've got a field trip with my daughter. I'm just going to walk around the park and take a day off, right? So again, like we talked about in the podcast, fitness absorption. Right? I had a big day today. 3.5 hours. Not planned. So tomorrow, I need a rest day. So going to the amusement park, and walk around with my daughter, not going to run. Okay? I have to be okay with that. That's the other piece, right? Because usually a weekday, like tomorrow, Thursday, usually a weekday is a training day. But it can't be tomorrow. It cannot be. I need to get my sleep, as much sleep as I can, because we're leaving early. And I don't need more stress of running. I have to realize that. So, I have to talk with my wife about these, talk through the challenges, talk through these mental aspects that I have to work through. She understands. She's a runner too. And she understands that there are challenges and setbacks. She also understands that, I really enjoy running, and that's why I enjoy running so much, is I like being out there. I like being out there for long, extended periods of time, but I can't do that all the time. And that's the realization. So it's, she's helping me hold me accountable to making sure I'm not being stupid. Other things that I'm doing, I'm limiting my screen time on my phone, and I'm deleting games that waste my time. I find myself constantly going on there and playing these stupid games that just waste so much of my time. And instead, I'm reading. I'm going to spend that time reading. I like to sit down at night and watch TV. And, I think I talked about this, but I can't just sit and watch TV if there's other things that I should be doing, like working on my ankle, right? I need to get those things in rather than just, watch TV or play on my phone. So I'm trying to be better at recognizing there's other things that I could be doing that would be better for me. And that's what I have to understand is they are better for me. So lastly, I'm trying to refocus on my family and other things that make me happy. They are amazing. As you've heard in my podcast, they mean the world to me. I love them beyond measure, and they should be a priority. And I really had a great time with them in Raleigh last week. It was great to spend time with them and do things with them. We had a blast. So I want to do more like that. I want to have more time with them and do more with them. Tomorrow I go on the field trip with my daughter. My son wants to go tux and shoe shopping for the prom. So all things that I'm blessed to be able to say I can do and be a part of their lives. So I want to make sure that I am focusing on them and making sure that I'm a part of their lives and giving them all of the love that I potentially can, because that makes me happy. So that's what I'm working on. I've probably said a lot of things here that might strike home with you. Maybe it will get you thinking about some things that you obsess over, that potentially you could do something different about. And, maybe it's just you just listened and you have some things to offer. And by all means, drop me a note. Say, hey, I'm going through some of the same things. Because it's always great when we get to hear from others that are going through the same things, and you may have some suggestions as to how you're handling it that could help me handle how I'm handling things. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Okay. Lastly, I want to talk about a few things that we have coming up. On April 14th, I am going to open registration for what we are calling the Flight of the Falcon 24-hour running event. I am raising money for the high school that I coach at. It will be for the cross-country, indoor, and outdoor track programs. The money will go towards them. We are trying to create a facility for the kids that they will have a locker room. Currently, they change in restrooms, which is a travesty. I'm glad they have some place to change, but it is, having them change in the restrooms, and then they have nowhere to store their clothing. So what we are doing is this 24-hour event to raise money for them. What this will entail is a 24-hour track race. We are going to do it on our track at West Henderson High School. Every 4 hours, we'll switch directions. If you reach 50K, you'll get a custom mug. If you reach 50 to 100K, 50 miles to 100K, you'll get a custom belt. And then if you reach 100 miles, you'll get a custom belt buckle. Actually, you'll get all three. So the 50 miles to 100K get the mug and the belt. And then the 100-miler gets all three, the mug, the belt, and the belt buckle. What we are asking is for the participants to raise $250 or more for the track team. That's the whole idea back on this. The kids are going to have 2-hour blocks for them to run as much as they can to raise money as well. So they will be out there. You will see these kids. So I hope you can come and support this. We're only doing 25 runners this year. Registration will be on Ultra Sign Up. I'll put the link in the show notes. Again, it will open April 14th. The date of the event is August 3rd. So it's Saturday, August 3rd. Right now, we're working on the start time. We have to share that facility with the football team who will be training. So we'll probably have actually a little bit later start. So we'll have a later start, and then obviously you'll have 24 hours from that point to go as far as you can. Complete details will be on Ultra Sign Up as well as on our Facebook event page. So I'll put that link in the show notes as well. Registration will cover the costs. All finishers will get a hoodie sweatshirt with their name and distance covered on the arm sleeve after the event. Okay, so after the event, those will, obviously, because we need to know how far you went. So all registrations will get that custom hoodie. We'll have a ton of food. This is going to be awesome. We can use the concession stand, so we're going to use that to make some great food for 24 hours. So it will be a great celebration. We will also have a link if you just want to donate. If you can't be a part of the event, but your heart is so kind as to donate to this cause, we will have a link for that as well. I don't have that ready just yet. I'm waiting on the school to let me know how they want me to do that, because I do not want to touch these funds. I want it to go directly to the school, not a penny to go towards me. These kids are awesome, and they mean the world to me, so I want to do as much as I can for them. So I hope you'll join me in this adventure and join us on August 3rd for this event. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact's in the show notes. I'm happy to answer any questions. We're also going to work on a trail 5K. We're making trails at the local middle school, and the middle school has such great property, and it already has some great trails. Victor Mariano and I have started to cut a new trail, and so we're working on trails. So with that, we're going to have a trail work day every month. So April 27th will be our next trail work day. If you're interested, I'll put information in the show notes. You can reach out to me and come join us if you need some volunteer hours and want to help us build these trails. We're super excited for this. We're going to go out on a few other days, Victor and I, just to kind of get some preliminary work done. But the work days, we're really going to go gangbuster and try to get these trails ready, because in September we hope to host, along with a middle school race, a high school race, a public trail 5K. It's a great place. Tough trails. They are tough trails. I will not say this is like a race for beginners. It is tough. There's some significant hills on this course and some really fun trails. So I hope you'll think about joining us in September for that race. More to come on that. I have to speak with the administration and just verify that date is allowable. So stay tuned for that. But we are hosting the Trail Workday on April 27th. So again, if you want to come join us, just reach out. Again, all that information is going to be in the show notes. So, a lot going on. We got the Flight of the Falcon, the 24-hour event. April 27th, we've got the workday. The Flight of the Falcon is August 3rd, and then the September Trail 5K. So, lots of new stuff, lots going on. I hope you're doing extremely well. I hope all goes well. And again, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. I've got some really cool guests lined up with some pertinent topics. So we're going to start hearing again for some guests. But until then, keep moving forward, my friends. Running is life.